Welcome to the Impact Marriage Podcast. You're in the right place for authentic conversation about marriage that includes practical advice for a fun, fulfilling, God-honoring marriage. We're your hosts, Allan and Nicole Blain. With 33 years of marriage since the age of 20 and 6 children raised, our desire is to help you enjoy a passion-filled, mission-driven, relationship-rich marriage. Now, let's jump into this week's episode.
If you're listening as a couple, this episode has the potential to be a turning point for your year and honestly for your marriage. Today, we're talking about something incredibly practical, but deeply powerful. Planning the year ahead, 2 hearts, 1 vision. We will discuss strategies and tips for planning the entire year ahead with your spouse. It's not going to be a rigid, stressful way, but in a way that builds unity, clarity, and deep connection.
Because here's what we know to be true. If you don't decide together what your year will look like, life will decide for you. So in this episode, we're going to share simple tips, ideas, and conversations that the two of you can have together to plan your year intentionally, without pressure, without perfection.
That's right.
And without overwhelm.
Whether you're driving, walking, running like sometimes we are, or sitting together on the couch, we invite you to lean in. This one really matters.
Okay, so let's jump into it. The last week we covered episode 2, which was part 2 of our story. So in episode 1, we covered part 1 of our story.
That's
In
right.
episode 2, we covered part 2 of our story. And now we're super excited to get to jump in to talking about planning your year together. When we initially wanted to launch this podcast, we were planning on having it start in December of 2025. And this episode would have landed right around the 1st of January. That first week of January, as it is, here we are in the beginning, or I guess middle almost of February here. And yeah,
So it's going to be fun.
so it's
We get
gonna
to
be
we get
good.
to jump in and add value, because I feel like our stories, that wasn't really adding value, just that was about us, and just kind of painting a picture.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So why, does it matter to plan your year together? Let's start there. What would you say, babe? Why would you say it's important that we even have this conversation as it relates to marriage, planning your year ahead?
Well, I feel like it reduces a lot of stress,
Good one.
because you could sit there and just guess what the other, I don't know, communication is important, communicating
Definitely.
how the other one feels. And then it creates unity, and it prevents resentment and miscommunication. So yeah,
Yep.
I think that those are big.
And we didn't always do this, did we?
No, we didn't.
So
And our life was a mess.
we really just started doing this in full transparency, maybe
Yep.
a handful of years ago.
Mhm.
And it's really been a game changer for us.
It's been huge. I get excited every year when we sit down and we
Same.
plan.
Same. It's like, and we're usually doing this. Our goal, and nearly all years, has been to do it in December. And that's when we do it. But here's the thing. It's never too late to do anything that's worth doing. Okay. So
Mhm.
here we are. I said almost middle of February. It's early February, but it's never too late. It's never too late to plan your year. So, hey, let's jump in and let's do this. And by the way, if you do it now, it's going to make 2026 better than it would have been otherwise. And you're going to already have one of these sessions, if you will, under your belt for December 2026 when you get ready to plan 2027. So super excited about this conversation. So that brings us to why. Okay. Why should couples plan their year together, would you say?
Well, first off, planning, it's not about control. So we must say that. It's about unity. So coming together and agreeing. And the benefits of yearly planning, it's shared expectations for
Yep.
sure. It creates less conflict.
That's good.
You have clear priorities for the year, and then fewer surprises.
Right. And there's always surprises. So it's not no surprises, it's fewer surprises, right?
Fewer surprises.
Yep.
And more intimacy, I feel like. Better communication.
That's always a good thing.
Oh, yeah. Better communication and faster growth. So it's like rowing together instead of against each other.
or
And
separately.
and that's what
Yeah.
I love. That's my favorite part right there. And there's just more peace overall at home, I feel like.
For sure. So let's talk about how planning can build trust. If you take the time to do what we're going to lay out for you, and we're going to lay this out for you as best we can, as clearest as we can in the few minutes that we have together today. But it's going to build trust, more trust. It's just going to enhance the trust. Maybe that's the way to say it's going to build teamwork, and it's going to
Which is
build.
a beautiful
It
thing.
is a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. And it's interesting how trust and teamwork and some of these things do affect and improve things like intimacy
Yeah.
and other aspects of our
And
marriage
communication and
and
yeah.
communication. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's going to provide emotional safety. We're not going to be, one spouse isn't going to have to be insecure about different things happening throughout the year or what may happen or a plan that may get pushed aside that was important to them
Mm.
or whatnot. So there's just a lot of benefits to
Which
doing this.
I noticed. I'm not a planner, so when we first came out with this, I was like, "No." Remember, I resisted. I'm like, "I don't wanna do this because I am
Yeah.
not a planner." But then I remembered the things that are important to me, like time together, I mean, which we're gonna talk about more, and then also family time.
Mm.
So then I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'll plan. I'll do I'll do whatever. If we can get it on the calendar where there's more of that, I'm in."
That's right. So, and I mean, Ecclesiastes talks about how two are better than one. So it's one thing to plan individually. And it's not that I don't plan certain things about my day in my life apart from Nicole and that she doesn't either.
Mhm.
But there's so much that overlaps that when we can come
Yeah.
together as two as one and plan together, it's far better.
Yeah.
And unity, which was mentioned earlier, really it can accelerate our momentum, your momentum in a lot of different aspects of marriage and life. And we're going to talk about some of those aspects, those
Yeah.
important pillars
Yeah.
of life. So the thing that we would really highly recommend when it comes time to sit down and do this is that you start with prayer. And again,
Mhm.
not something we've
So
always
important.
done in years past, but we're learning more and more. It's on one hand, it's kind of sad that at 33 years married, we're still feel like we have so much to learn. On the other hand, it's super exciting because we have so much to learn.
Yeah, and it's never too late.
That's right. And it's
Never.
never too late. But just starting with prayer, we've learned that starting as many things as possible, I won't say everything, with prayer. I mean, we're told to pray without ceasing. And there's a reason for that because God wants to be us, He wants to be an intimate part of our life as
That's
believers,
right.
as His children. And, the reason why start with prayer may seem obvious, but, one of the things that it does is it puts us in the proper posture before we even begin planning.
Yeah.
And, we're told in Matthew 6, for example, that we're supposed to seek God first. It says, seek his kingdom first and his righteousness, and all these other things will be given to you as well. So it's not I mean, it's just biblical. It also we're also reminded to prioritize God's will before our own plans, right? I mean,
Yes.
Jeremiah 29:11,
I
one
was
of my
just gonna say that.
favorite
Yeah.
verses.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, talks about God's plans are great. He has great plans for us,
Yep.
and we want those, not our own plan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, our plans are so they may be so different than God's plans.
That's right.
So just being open to what, where he's leading us for the year.
Absolutely. And the last verse that comes to mind just off the top of the head thinking about this is James 1:5, where it talks about if anyone lacks wisdom, that we can ask of God who
Mhm.
gives generously. He has all the wisdom to give us.
Yes, he does.
But he says we need to ask, we need to ask in faith. So just, coming before God before we even start planning our year with this posture and with this heart attitude
Yeah,
before him just gets us, I think, in the right place
absolutely.
to make the planning most effective.
Yes, I agree.
Which leads to vision. And we want to we're covering a few of the foundational principles here for you
Mhm.
that we've learned over the years that are going to make the time when you sit down, two of you and a calendar and a journal, and you start mapping things out for the year so much more productive,
Mhm.
so much more effective. And so that's
And
what
it's
we're doing.
fun. I love talking about vision.
It
That
is.
to me, that's the fun part instead of putting the dates now. I don't know.
Right.
That's just me.
Yeah, yeah,
'Cause I
I
maybe because 'cause
agree.
I'm a big dreamer, I don't know. But
I agree. So
yeah,
that leads us to vision, as Nicole said, is talking about the vision,
yeah,
and that's what we wanna do before we even get to the calendar, is we wanna plan our direction before we plan our dates, and we've got just a few tips, for you, when it comes to this.
yeah. So, one tip is dream out loud. So, no correcting, no fixing. Like I said, it's okay to dream big and
Yeah.
just bounce ideas off each other. Sometimes he'll shoot some of my ideas, and then it's good for me. I'm open, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's not gonna work. You're right." Yeah.
And
When I
vice
see the
versa.
bigger picture, yeah, and vice versa. So we help each other,
Yeah.
and then vision creates buy-in and unity. So, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, because one person can have this great idea of what they wanna see this year
Yeah.
or out of this aspect of the marriage or life, but if the other person can't see it, how do you have unity and buy-in on this idea? But when you can talk
Mhm.
about it and you can dream together and you can communicate about what you see and what you'd like to see, and the other person can see it with you, if both can buy in on that, then it's gonna make it a whole lot
Yeah.
more fun and a whole lot less more friction free,
Yeah.
getting it on the calendar.
And I think too, it's important to ask, like, vision casting questions together.
That's
So,
good.
yeah,
That's really good.
like, I don't know, would you wanna give examples?
Yeah, like, I mean, just
Yeah.
asking, what do you want your year to look like? What do we
Mhm.
want our year to
That's a
look
good
like?
question.
And
Yep.
another good one I like is, like, when we get to the end of the year, what is gonna be considered a success? How are we gonna know if when we're here next December and we're planning the year in advance, but we're first looking back on the year in review, what is it gonna have to happen for us to say, "That was a successful year?"
Yeah.
You
Like,
know?
an example could be more like being intentional with your relationships with family or friends. So,
Yep, yep. And then asking, like, what are some key areas that, we wanna grow in this year? And
yeah, that's
really and
good.
those were kinda like the pillars I
Yeah.
was talking about before, and for us,
Yeah.
we have some of these
Yeah.
pillars that are like,
Oh,
these are
they're yeah, non-negotiables.
the priorities in our
Yes.
life. You
And
wanna
there
share?
are yeah, our relationship with Jesus, that's number 1,
Yeah,
first and foremost. That is the foundation. And then our marriage is super important, and we must protect it. So our marriage is next, and then health. Health is extremely important as
yep,
well.
yep,
Finances, and then family.
yep, and not necessarily in that
Yeah,
order.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say family and then finances last, but
Yeah. Yeah. But, so let's talk about each one of those. And so
yeah.
when we're talking about vision, and we're sitting down together and we're getting ready to plan our year, and we're in this area that we're calling vision, right? And we're discussing, like, what is our vision? Okay, what are these areas? And Nicole just shared with you five areas that are most important to us. And you may have a little different spin on those, areas. You might have some we hadn't mentioned or thought
Yeah.
of, but and then what within each one of those five are questions we want to ask to kind of see what is our vision for those areas? What is our
Mhm.
vision for growth in those areas? Where do we want to see
Yeah.
change in those areas? Where do we want to take those areas? What do we want to see God do in those areas? So
Yeah.
we ask questions, right? We're going to ask
Yeah.
questions
Yeah.
of, like, for example, our relationship with Jesus. Let's
Mhm.
start there.
Yeah, how are we gonna grow spiritually together this year?
Mm,
I mean, that's a huge question.
yeah,
And then what does obedience look like for us right now
yeah.
in this season that we're in?
I love that, Nicole.
Mhm.
That's good. And then we're answering that, and that's just facilitating discussion, right? Which
Mhm.
leads to those answers that come out of those questions are going to be things in a moment we're going to want to try to weave into our planning for the year. And, a strong marriage is rooted vertically, right?
Mm.
Before it ever thrives horizontally.
Yeah.
And we want to
So
keep
true. That's
and we
so
want to
good.
keep that, front and center of mind. And this is why the first thing we want to do is, really evaluate what is our relationship with Jesus? Where's it at? And what do we want to do? What do we want to see? What do we think God wants to accomplish in us individually, in us as a couple,
Mhm. Mhm.
and as us as a family unit
Yeah.
over the next year? And then we'll move on to something like, say, marriage, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So marriage, some questions, we might ask each other, how are we protecting us?
Mm,
Because our marriage is super important. And Satan, he wants to get in and
yes, he does.
destroy marriages because if he can do that, then he destroys the whole family unit.
And he almost destroyed ours years
Yeah.
ago. I
And
mean,
so,
he wanted to for sure. He
and
definitely
that's why
tried.
like this whole planning and doing this calendar, it's so important. It's so important
Mm,
for that's just an example right there, one
yeah.
example of many. But and then how are we staying connected? Not just, coexisting.
Mm, that's good.
Some examples would be date nights. It's important to get that on the calendar. And for some, it might look different. We like to try to do it weekly.
Yeah.
We're not always, consistent or perfect in that area, but, date nights. And now that we have an empty house, like we're empty nesters, I feel like we have date night every night.
Every night's a date
Yeah,
night. It's wonderful.
it's great. And then like communication rhythms. So that is another one that's super important. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, just, talking about how often are we communicating? How are we communicating? What kind of structure are we setting up for communication? Are we just winging it? Winging it's not typically the most effective in
Mhm.
business, fitness, or marriage. So,
Yeah, it's
relationship.
true.
So, being intentional, I think that's the theme that we're talking about here. It's planning your year is being intentional with your life, being a good steward of what God has given us, this gift that we call
Mm,
marriage,
it's
right?
a gift.
And just talking about intimacy and
Intimacy,
fun.
yep.
What do
Super
we want
important.
to see for intimacy? What do we want to see for fun?
Yeah, that's
We're
another good
playmates.
one.
We're best friends.
We are.
So what does that look like this year? What is it going to look like? What can we do to make that more fun, more intimate?
Yeah,
And those are fun conversations, right?
they are, and we've talked about this a couple weeks ago. We're like, we looked at each other. We're like, we need to laugh more.
Yeah,
Like, we need to get on the calendar, like to watch some comedy or go see a clean comedy show. Um, and so yeah, just those are some creative ways. Yeah.
love it. I love it. And then we move into something like family,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then we're going
Yes,
to ask
family.
questions. These are some questions. If you're taking notes, these are some
Yes.
questions we're giving you as examples and samples
Yeah,
to just get the juices flowing for
I
you
could think
all.
of one.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of parents do we want to be this year? And that one was huge because we talked about that. And yeah, as far as relationships,
Yeah.
pouring into our children, spending that quality time, which is easy for me. That's my love language, quality time. A little bit harder for you. And so it's like, okay, this has to get on the calendar. And so, what are we doing this year?
Mother daughter trip
Yes,
with
I
you and
can't
our five
wait.
daughters,
Cannot wait.
and the same period of time, a father son trip with me and our son and one son and one son in law, Josiah
Yeah.
and Braden. And we're super excited about these trips that
Yeah.
we're just intentionally, investing into our children.
Yeah. And also, like, what kind of memories are we intentionally creating? So just being very intentional about creating memories with
Mm,
our children.
yeah.
Which that kind of goes, but I mean, it doesn't have to be trips. That could be like game nights,
Yeah.
coming over every Sunday and having a meal together, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just talking about things like, are we going to commit to legacy over
Mm.
convenience? It's super convenient and it's super easy to not be intentional in our marriage, to not be intentional in our parenting,
To get lazy,
to get
really.
lazy, to do the easy thing, the easier thing
Yeah.
instead of the harder, better thing, you
Yeah.
know? Anyway, it reminds me of a quote. It says, it goes something like this: if you do what is easy, life will be hard. If you do what is hard, life will
Good.
be easy. And I
So
don't
good.
think, because John 10:30, I think it's John 16:33, not 10. John 16:33 says, God already told us that in this world you will have trouble, but we don't have to worry. He says, take heart. I've already overcome the world. I've already handled your challenges. You're going to be fine. So I already know life's going to be hard. God told me that, all of
Yeah.
us that. So
Yeah.
I like to say, I like to change the quote a little bit. It says, if you do what's easy, life's going to be hard. But if you do what's hard,
So good.
life will be easier, right?
Yeah,
Life
that
will be
that is
easier. But
so
I mean,
true.
that's just that conversation versus legacy that we want to build and investing into the next generation, which
Mhm.
also investing into each other
That's right.
is investing into the next generation, by the way, too. And affecting that legacy versus convenience. So it's those kind of conversations around family that we
Yes.
often have.
Yes, I agree. The fruit that you produce
That's
is
right.
incredible, so
That's
it's
right.
worth it. But, the next one, health. This
Health.
one's super important. Do you wanna touch on this one?
Yeah. So, we'll ask questions of, and you might consider asking questions like, do we have the energy? Do we have the health, the
Mhm.
energy level, the health span? Will we have the health span to go with our lifespan, um, to live the life that we're praying for?
Yeah.
You know,
Like, for example, we wanna live till you say 120. So
120.
but yeah,
Yes.
we wanna have, yeah, energy
We
all
have
the
to
way
do an
up to
episode on
yeah,
that.
yeah, we
People
will.
probably think
We
I'm
definitely will.
absolutely crazy right
But
now.
but
It
but
does
w
need an explanation,
yeah.
but
But our health is so important, so vital to us that we're thinking so far ahead, Al and I, that, we think about what type of grandparents, what type of great grandparents we want to be, you know?
absolutely
And so that's why it's so important to get, that on the calendar. And well, I mean, we work out together every day
six days a week.
but we could always improve in so many
Absolutely.
areas. Health, anyone and everyone can. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Yes. And just for everybody that's thinking I'm absolutely crazy because I'm planning to live to 120, since you brought that up, that was not
that was
in
on
our
your
notes.
mind.
That
Yeah.
was not in
I
our
could tell
notes.
you were thinking something.
Okay. No, I will just say this and we'll move on. I know that his word tells me my days are numbered and he knows, and I don't know. And I'm perfectly okay with that. So if today's my last day and I take my last breath tonight at 50, almost 54 years old, I'm perfectly okay with that. It doesn't stop me from planning to live to 120 with the way I invest my money, with the way I eat, with the way I take supplements, with the way I drink water, with the way I invest into
Mhm.
relationships, with the way I invest into relationships. I say that already?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. Well, let's say it again. It's worth saying twice. I want to live relationship rich.
I love it.
Thankfully, I do live relationship rich, but
You do.
thanks to God's blessing, definitely more than I deserve. But anyway, that's a little context in the
Mhm.
120 age. We're planning to live that way. We're not planning to die at 80.3 years old. And it's
We
just,
used to. We
yeah,
used to,
yeah.
but
And it
we have a different
changes things.
mindset.
It changes things in the way you do
Oh,
life,
big time.
which is probably a conversation for another time.
Yes,
But
we'll have to talk
you
about
brought it
that.
up. I just had to
But yeah, and
bring a little
there's so
clarity.
many verses too that just back this up as far as taking care of our
Mm,
body as a
yep.
temple,
Yep.
and how we're supposed to
Absolutely.
take care of it. So,
Other questions we might ask would be what? Like, are you fueling your bodies or are you
yes.
just surviving? Are we fueling our bodies or are we just surviving? What can we do to level that up? How can we
Mhm.
improve our health this year? How can we improve our diet? How can we improve our exercise? How can we improve our supplementation? How can we
Mhm.
improve our hydration? Like what can we do to level up?
And it's important too because another topic that we're going to talk about is finances. And I mean, this health and finances go hand in hand
For sure.
because it's going to cost you a lot. If you're not taking care of your body, then it is going to cost you and time too. Not only,
Yep.
seeing doctors and hospital bills and all these things, but
Yep.
yeah,
Pay now or pay later,
that's why
you know?
health is up there in my mind. It's
That's
up
right.
there.
You pay now or you pay later. And
Yeah.
that's one of those things too. I said, do what's hard and life will be easier. Do
Yeah.
what's easy and life will be hard. Do what's hard and life will be easier. That's the thing. Like the easy thing is to not work out. But if you do that, life's going to get harder.
Yep.
Your health's going to get harder, right? As an example of that quote.
Women's hormones will be
Mm,
harder. That's one
yep.
thing I noticed, like,
Testosterone
yeah,
will be
working
lower.
out consistently, it's like my hormones are so much better and yeah,
Yeah.
energy levels, everything.
Yep. And we're talking about vision, and you can't build a big vision. You can't build
Mm-mm.
a big life, a big exciting life, a life of impact, a life of serving others, a
Mhm.
multi-generational
Yeah.
life with an exhausted body,
There's no way.
with a sick body,
Mm-mm.
with an unhealthy body. So health is a very
Yeah.
big one for us, as all of these are. And then we move over to something like finances,
Yep.
right?
That was, yep, the next one.
What kind of questions would you recommend
So,
asking there?
oh man, this one's like big. This is my weak area, his strong area. But basically, you lead on this. But like, where are we going financially? That's a good one.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
what does freedom actually look like for
yeah,
us? I mean,
yeah,
money is just money, right? It's just paper or coins or whatever it is.
hmm,
It's just a thing. But what does it represent? It represents freedom. It represents choices. It represents impact. It represents the ability to give.
yep,
It represents a lot of things. It can represent, bad things. It can represent really good things. But what does it look like for us? What does the
yeah,
freedom aspect look like? How much freedom do we want? Well, how much freedom we want? How much do we want to be able to give of money to others? Well,
hmm.
the answers to those questions are going to dictate how much we
And how much?
need.
Yeah, and how much we want to travel? Did you say that
Yeah,
one?
no,
Yeah,
no, that's
how
good.
much we want to travel, and
Mm,
yeah,
right. Yep. And that's going to dictate things like, do we need to start a side hustle? Do we need to save more?
yeah, or
Do we
be
need
tighter
to
in certain areas.
Yeah, do we need to cut expenses somewhere? I mean, you've only got a couple
Hmm.
choices, right? If you want more financial freedom, it's either spend less or make more
Yeah,
or both. I mean, that's it. That's the way it is. So
yeah,
these are the conversations that, we need to have, and they're going to affect,
yeah.
some of the different things. And in all five of these areas, they're critically important, again, because the goal of this is unity. It's not perfection. It's not getting the
No,
perfect year planned, although
no.
that's the goal. I mean, that's the ideal, I should say. But
Mhm.
it's okay. And nothing's going to be perfect. But the
Yeah. So
ultimate
you want
goal,
it want you wanna be on the same page
yeah,
is
is
what you're saying.
being on the
Yeah.
same page, being
Yeah.
unified,
Yeah.
and it's great. And we definitely have not always had the same vision.
No.
Have we?
No, years ago, I remember we have our own personal story where, like, we struggled for a while. It was, like, back and forth. It took a long time.
Yeah.
And it was I wanted to homeschool, and he didn't. He was totally against it. He's like, "No, we're putting our kids
Yeah.
in public school." And at that time, I remember we had 3 young ones, so we didn't have all 6, but our oldest
We would
was
have been about,
getting
how
re
old would we have been?
so we lived in Irvine,
27,
California at
27,
that time, and
28.
our oldest was about to go into school that next
Yeah,
year, so
yeah,
we needed to, like, talk about this, because I felt super strong I felt like God put on my heart, like, I need to homeschool this child. There's no way I wanna put this child in public school. And so and you weren't for it, I remember,
no,
and we're like, "Okay, we need to get on the same
and
page."
thankfully we did, and we
Yes.
did, and God, did a miracle there to help stubborn me at the time see that, that was gonna be the
Well,
decision He wanted us to
yeah,
make for our family before our 5-year-old entered kindergarten. She never did, but, we
yeah,
we
yeah,
homeschooled from the beginning for 18 years.
yeah, we did.
Mhm.
But I think for you, you had to see, like I think you only heard you were like
I was brainwashed.
yeah, you were
Let's
brainwashed.
just say what it was. I was brainwashed.
Yeah, you just thought, "Oh my goodness, homeschool kid I don't think they get a good education, they need to be around kids and all these
My
things." So
my
I had
big
to
thing was
basically
the
sell you.
socialization. I know this is not what this episode's about,
Yeah.
but my big thing was the socialization. I'd heard that
Yeah.
from so many people. I don't know about so many,
Yeah, it's just what you
but that's all
heard,
I had
not
heard was the
and
negative
then and
about
then what did
it
I
won't be
do?
social. They won't be
So
socialized, quote unquote.
yes, and then what did I say? Because you're probably gonna have some
Man, you
cousins
were so wise.
watching this.
You were
So,
so wise.
I said, "What about your cousins? Like, they socialize really good, if anything, better than, like, most people. Like, they could socialize with all
Well, and
different
my
ages,
yeah,
old, young, right?"
and my cousins
Yeah,
had been homeschooled.
yeah,
Here we're 27, 28, and some of my cousins were a little bit older than us. Some of my cousins were younger than us, but let's just call it, my cousins were adults at that point, and they'd all been through high school, or most all of them at that point, and many of them had been all homeschooled all the years. And I'm like,
and I was so impressed by
huh,
their character and
yeah, and their
so many things.
socialization, most social
Socialization,
people I
I'm
know.
like, "There you go."
I'm like, man, Nicole, that is a really good question. And it was so great how
Yes.
God gave
Ask
Nicole the
questions
wisdom to do that. Yeah, to
in
ask
a loving
questions.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, just ask me questions. Well, what do you think? Okay, here's the objection. I'm
Yes.
concerned about socialization. Okay, well, what do you think about your cousins that have all been homeschooled? Do you think
Mhm.
they're socialized well? And all she had to do was ask me that question. And it was like,
Yeah.
yeah, huh, man, I've been believing a lie. This is crazy. What in the world did I base this information on? And
So
of
funny.
course, there's unsocialized homeschoolers, and of
Oh,
course,
yeah,
there's
for sure.
unsocialized homeschool,
Public school.
public private schoolers and public
Public school.
schoolers and
Yeah,
everything else. So
for sure.
anyway, yeah. So that was something we,
So then we ended up being on the same page.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, all that to say, whether it's finances, whether it's health, whether it's family goals, vision, marriage, or
Mhm.
your relationship with Jesus, or anything else for that matter, it is worth investing the time into this vision planning before you ever get to the
Yeah.
calendar to come on the same page w- as much as possible with these very important things. And just some other tips before we jump into the
Mhm.
actual planning part, which we'll move pretty quickly through, but is, talk through some of the tension points before they happen. I
Yes.
mean,
Good advice.
this is where the gold is,
Yeah.
you have the opportunity to what during
Well,
this time?
so you could discuss, just common conflict areas, whatever they are. For example, like work schedules,
Yeah.
travel,
Yep.
finances. I know that's a big one for marriages.
Yep.
Maybe ministry or business commitments.
Right. Because
Yeah.
there are going to be some of these things that can create tension and conflict when you go sit down with a calendar and you're wanting to schedule some things, but
Yeah.
maybe the job or the ministry or s- the children's sports, or there's these things that can potentially get in the way and cause tension, and stress. Also, just really want to encourage proactive conversations. Like just trying to think ahead, trying to look ahead and say, okay, see what seasons are some of our busiest seasons.
Yeah. We,
Where do we need some extra grace, some
mhm.
extra
Where
margin?
we need rest.
Where do we need rest? Where do we need to set up boundaries?
Yes.
I mean,
That's
we've got those
huge.
times,
Oh,
right?
we have those times. Yes. Where
You
we
want to
have
share an
to.
example
Yeah, so we put on 2 retreats a year and
for our
we
business, for
yeah,
our team?
and
Yeah.
it's very exhausting, just all the work that, we put into it, and we love it, by the way, but so we protect our time afterward well, before, as we're preparing, and then afterwards, because we
Yeah,
just need some downtime to relax, or otherwise we can't keep going and doing everything that we're, doing, but yeah, so that's just an example.
exactly. And the reason why this is so important to communicate, because if we all have expectations. I mean, we come into a marriage with expectations. And when we have unspoken expectations that let us down, they're a breeding ground for future resentments
Mm, yeah,
if we allow them. And that's why
yeah.
that the goal is we do not want to leave anything for the devil
No.
to fester any kind of
Mm-mm.
resentment to come between us.
Mm-mm.
And that's our heart for each of you as well. Um, any other tips before we get into the planning itself?
Yeah, build margin, not just a full calendar. So, you wanna
Yeah.
speak
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah. Just, you definitely don't want to overplan. One's just pretty
Yeah.
simple. You just don't want to overplan. I mean, we've done it.
Yes, we have.
I've done it individually. I've filled my week so tight. There's just no wiggle room, and it's just not good. And you could do the same thing when you're planning your year. You just don't want to overcommit. You want to
Yeah,
leave some room for
yeah.
flexibility.
And some personalities, we tend to overcommit, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah, for
That's where
sure.
I feel like where you come in. You help me in that area, but I know,
Oh,
like,
I
with
thought you were talking about me.
no,
I
I'm talking about
definitely
me,
can
But
overcommit.
no, but there's, some partners where they do overcommit
Yeah.
and it exhausts the other one.
And hopefully the other partner is
Yeah.
more able to balance that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Hopefully.
I am thankful. I'm thankful for the so many things that Nicole and I have in common, but I am so also thankful for the things we're drastically different
Oh,
on.
yeah. I'm so thankful.
And
And we are. That's another
we're so
episode.
different.
We'll
Yeah.
talk about that another time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But you want to leave room for flexibility, as I mentioned. You want to leave room for rest. You want to leave
Mhm.
room for mental and
So
emotional
important.
health. Um, and you want to, we would encourage you to intentionally leave some open weekends. Like, don't
Mhm.
try to fill every weekend on your calendar.
Yeah,
Leave
no.
some white space, leave some recovery days. Um,
Yeah,
you
you
know,
never know. We do that because you don't know who God's gonna have you minister
Mhm.
to. And that's, one thing why we do that is
Right.
those open weekends. We meet someone, it's like, "Oh, let's go out on the lake," "Oh,
Yeah.
we have this weekend open just for you. We're gonna take you out on the boat." So,
And
yeah,
and we
super
will
important.
even I love that, baby, and we will
Yeah.
even block out, like, rest time or downtime, like,
Mhm.
where nothing's gonna fill the space. I mean, unless God tells us to have something fill that space. Nothing else is gonna fill that space, and it's, like, a date on the calendar, and
Yeah.
that's important too. It's not just all free time to be filled up later.
Yeah.
It's free time to remain free,
Yep. That's right.
for
Which
rest
helps your
or
health. Yeah,
exactly,
goes back to
exactly.
health.
If you think about it, if everything is important, nothing is.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to realize there's a lot of good things, and we're still learning this, that we have to say no
Mm,
to be able to have the time and the margin and the bandwidth to say yes to the even greater things.
yeah.
What
That's right.
else? What other tips do we have?
Make it fun and life-giving. So planning doesn't have to feel like a business meeting. I mean, when we get together, we have fun. We make it
Yeah,
fun.
make it fun. Make it
We
fun.
make it fun. Yeah. And some ideas are like you could go on a coffee date, planning the session, or maybe like a weekend getaway, like, you know,
That's what we really like to do if we
That's
can
what
each year,
that's
each
what we like to
December.
do, but we're so busy, like, we can't, like, I feel like but now that the kids are the house, I mean, our house is quiet, so we can easily plan, it's not a big deal, but back when like, if you have a busy household and you
Younger
just can't focus,
family.
you really need to focus when you're doing this,
Yep.
you really need it quiet, so my encouragement is go away, and if,
Mm.
you can't afford to, something expensive like a whatever hotel, ah,
Go to a local hotel, drive to a local
something cheap,
hotel.
find something
Go,
cheap.
yeah, go
Yeah,
somewhere.
go somewhere, or like I said, a coffee date, and then what else?
You can it could like I said, it could be a weekend retreat. You could even
Yeah.
plan like a vision board night
Oh, yeah,
together where
yeah.
you're doing
That's
this
good.
not just with a journal and paper, but literally either digitally, on your phone or laptop or iPad, creating a digital vision board or with
Mhm.
literally magazines or pictures
Yeah,
you've printed out ahead of time and then with paper paste and a poster board creating a vision board. We've done that
we
before, so
have.
that can be a lot of
Yeah,
fun. You can just
just
take a walk and talk and
yeah,
plan.
that doesn't cost
You don't
money.
you don't have to be
That's cheap
sitting
too.
down. We don't have to be at a
Yeah,
table. There's pros and cons to both, but yeah, so
yeah.
that's
One
a
year, I wanna hike with you. I wanna hike up to, like, a mountain and then sit and look at the view, and then I'm gonna cry and then plan
Mm,
our year. I get emotional, but
I like it.
that would be beautiful
I
if it
like
was
it.
good weather. That's the problem. When we plan, it's always in January, so,
December, usually
where can we
December.
go where it's warm and there's Hawaii. There you go.
Yeah.
No, costs
Yeah,
money.
there you go. So yeah, just encourage you to laugh, to dream, to think about it as teamwork, and just like Nicole said, have
Yeah.
fun, make it fun
Have
and life
fun.
giving. And there's probably other tips we could give, but just for sake of time, we'll move into now. If you've done all that, right? Now you're to the point of like grabbing a calendar and scheduling it. And by the way, on the wall right over there,
Yeah, you
that's off
can't see
camera and
it.
you can't see,
Sorry.
we have a big calendar that has it's
You
one calendar, one page, laminated page that has
Mhm.
all 12 months on it, horizontal. Okay.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
that's not a magic calendar. I'm just saying they have calendars out there that are big that
Oh,
you can
yeah,
see the
just
whole
Google.
year in
Good old Google.
advance. Or what we used to do is print off 12
Yep.
blank calendars, January through December
Yeah,
blank,
that
and
works.
lay them all out on a table and sometimes on the floor, but
Yep.
get them all laid out, and so we could see the year at a glance and start plugging in some of these important milestones, and we can talk about that in a minute, but just know that they do make 1 year calendars, and those have been
It's a
great
great
since
visual.
we
It's
were able to
yeah,
get those.
I
um
love it.
yeah, but just know that you want to really start anchoring your calendar when you're ready to do this with the big blocks. You may
Yeah.
have seen this analogy, but if you take a jar and you put big rock, you got big rocks and little rocks. Let's say
Oh,
you've
yeah, I
got
love
2-inch
this.
rocks and then you've got sand. Let's say that you've got sand and big rocks. Okay, 2-inch rocks. And I know not everybody's watching this on YouTube, our YouTube channel. So let's say that I'll try to describe it. So if you put the sand in first, and it fills the jar up, half full of sand, and then you pour the big rocks in the jar,
Yep.
they won't all fit. Why? Because by time the big rocks get to the top of the jar, there's a bunch of space around the big rocks
Mm,
that never got filled. Okay.
it's good.
But if you put the big rocks in first and they come up 3/4 of the way to the top of the jar, right? Because they're about 3/4 of the jar. That's why they wouldn't fit in the top half when you do the sand first. So they come about 3/4 of the way in the jar. And then you pour the sand on second.
Yep.
So big rocks first, little
Makes
rocks
sense.
last. The sand will go in and fill in all the cracks and the gaps in and around the big rocks. And you're going to get all the sand and all the rocks to fit in the
Yep.
jar. Well, the calendar is a similar thought. Like you want to put the big rocks in first. Okay. You want to,
The most important is what you're saying,
yeah,
right?
yes. Because what gets scheduled first gets protected most.
Okay. What's most important to me is like a week getaway with you. So that would be the big rock for
That
me.
would be a big rock. So we want to break
Yeah.
these into categories in the same categories that in the vision planning stage, we said these are the most important. These are our pillars or our big rocks, if you want to call them that. And so we start with each one. Okay. What our relationship with Jesus. Okay, what are the
That's,
things
yep.
in that area that are going
That's
to help
important.
accomplish the vision that we've written down already? We talked about a few minutes ago that
Yeah.
we have for our personal growth and our marriage growth together and these different things. Church commitments,
Hmm.
prayer and Bible time,
We're like,
individually and
yeah.
together. Maybe marriage conferences or retreats. Like what are the
D
things?
groups, Bible studies,
Mhm,
and all that.
right?
Yeah.
What are the things that need to go on the calendar in this category that we need to protect?
Mm,
Okay.
yeah.
And
It's
then,
good.
yeah. And then we're going to move into marriage or whatever the next category is
Okay.
you want to move
I
into.
didn't put Jesus first. I'm feeling like really guilty. I
You're
forgot.
funny. Well, I don't know what you said first a minute ago, but
You,
whatever it
yeah,
is,
it was you.
marriage,
Marriage. It goes under marriage.
he loves marriage. Um,
True, true.
yeah. And we are a reflection of
I
his
love
love
that.
for the church. So, hey, I
Oh,
think
you're
you're doing
cleaning
that
up
right.
my mistake. Thank you, babe.
But anyway, so then we come to marriage, okay? What do we want to put on the calendar as far as check-ins or marriage meetings?
Mm,
All right. And we can do a whole another episode on this as well. But
yeah.
like, what is it daily? What does it look like? Is it a morning check-in, a morning meeting, whatever you want to call it? Is it an afternoon? Is it an evening? Is it a midday? Is it once a day? Is it twice a day?
Ours is every day. When we work out, that's when we do our check-ins. We talk a lot.
Yeah. Yep,
Yep.
for sure.
During that time.
So, and yes, we do work out. We don't
Yeah,
just
we
talk.
do, but we talk about, yeah,
Yes,
marriage and how it's going and yeah.
absolutely, for sure. At date nights, is date nights going to be weekly? Are they going to be bi-weekly? Are they going to be monthly? Whatever they are,
I
let's get
say
it on the
every
calendar.
day, every day.
For us it's weekly, but it feels like daily now that all the
Yeah.
kids are gone out of the house. So yeah, but yeah. So what is that going to be? What about getaways or retreats? Like our rhythm in the early years of marriage with 6 young
Mm,
children and at times no money and and a lack of mentorship in our marriage
mhm,
and a lack of wisdom in our marriage, we went long periods of time,
mhm.
years,
Yeah,
without ever getting
yeah,
away.
yeah.
We were just in that
I
parent mode,
remember.
family mode.
I remember.
And so anyway, so it looks different now, but anyway, no matter what stage you're at, no matter
Oh,
what
yeah.
stage you're at, no matter what, if you lack resources, be resourceful, but highly recommend
Yeah.
making sure
So
you're
important.
planning your date nights and having some kind of rhythm to that. Okay. Maybe it's not weekly in that stage of life, but that it's regularly, whatever that looks like for you. I don't want to put it in a box.
And hey, ladies, we get a day or a night off of no cooking. So that's, yeah. Unless it is during the day, but that's what I like.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, and then we could talk.
That's
Yeah,
right. We love our dates.
we do.
And then there's the getaways or the retreats. Okay. So like our rhythm now that we're like our ideal
Mhm.
goal that we're planning is daily check-ins,
Mhm.
weekly dates. These are minimums. Okay. We like to set the bar and then try to exceed it. But minimum weekly dates, quarterly getaways, like picture a weekend getaway. Okay. Quarterly, sometimes it's 4 nights, 5 nights, 2 nights, 3 nights, but picture a weekend getaway. And then annually, and again, these are minimum goals for us, man, annually, like a significant week or two getaway, just us without the kids. And again, that's separate from anything we might do, a family vacation or this year
Mhm.
mother daughter father
Yeah.
son trip. So those are the kind of things that for marriage that you want to get on the calendar. And then we move into things like the family, right?
Yeah, and then the family and relationships. So then there's holidays, birthdays, extended family time, kids' activities and milestones like graduations or,
Right.
things like that.
So getting that on the
Yep.
calendar, and we move into health, our health
Yep.
and our energy levels, right? And again, that's going to be, what is our like vacation. Okay. Now I know that taking the young kids on a family vacation to Disney World is not improving your health probably in any way.
Or take them
Probably,
to the beach if they're littles and
yeah.
you gotta, like, have the wagon and everything. You're hauling everything and you're exhausted by the
But
time you get back to the house.
But is there vacation, quote unquote, or getaway
Yeah.
time? Maybe vacation, maybe even not the right word. I don't know. It could be vacation, could not be vacation, but that's going to benefit your health. Where is your recovery time built in, like we talked about a minute ago?
Mhm.
What is your
So important.
fitness and wellness goals? What are we doing? What are we getting on the calendar? Like we
Mhm.
work out, we've got a schedule 6 days a week. Yours doesn't have to be 6 days a week. Maybe it's 3 days a week. Maybe it's a walk after dinner every night. Like
Mm, it's
it,
good.
it, it doesn't have to be the grand thing that you want it to be.
Yeah.
Ideally, it can just be something to move the ball down the field in this area of
Mhm.
whatever, in this case, health. So what are those things and where are they going to fit on our calendar? Right.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then where do we go from there?
Next would be
Mm.
finances. Yeah.
Yeah. And so finances is something that, what are you going to put on a calendar that has to do with finances? Maybe nothing. Maybe nothing. If in the vision planning, your income and your expenditures are fine and your savings and your giving, all that is where you want it to be, and your debt or lack thereof is where you want it. There's maybe nothing that goes on the calendar as it relates to finances. However, or if your income is fine and you talked about a way to lower your spending, your expenditures, great. Implement that plan. It may or may not have anything to do with the calendar. However, if your plan was we need more income and we're going to start, she or I or we are going to start this side hustle, this other business or this other job maybe or whatever it might be. All right. Where and when is that fitting on the calendar? Okay, so this is going to be where we need to start looking at the
Yeah.
calendar and say, okay,
Yep.
if we're going to generate more income, we've got to figure out time to make that happen. So that's why finances could come into play here.
Yep.
Right.
And also, you don't need a perfect plan, just an intentional connection.
That's right.
So remember that.
That's right.
Doesn't have to be perfect.
That's right. So, in closing, as we start to wrap this up here, just to give you, I hope this has been helpful.
Yes.
There's a lot more, obviously, layers to this. We could go
Oh, for
deep in
sure.
any one of these things, but I think we've given a ton of information already in this episode, and hopefully, I prayerfully hope it wasn't overwhelming. Thankfully, we can rewind and listen to this again, but anyway, so the challenge, I guess, that I would have for you, the
Mhm.
plan would be, if you're up for it, if this all sounds like, if you've been tracking with us, like this sounds good, this sounds fruitful, this sounds beneficial, this sounds exciting, maybe it sounds scary, maybe it sounds a
It's
little,
fun. Remember what we said in the beginning? It's fun. Make it fun.
yeah, hopefully it doesn't
Yeah.
sound scary, but if it
It's not.
does,
It's
but you're up for
fun.
a challenge, I think it pays off big time.
It
I,
feels
I
good afterwards. After you do it, you're just like, yeah. Yes.
True. It's true.
Man, I
Plan a
feel
whole year.
good. I feel good. Yeah, it's
It
the
is.
best
It is a
feeling.
great feeling,
Yeah.
especially when we get it done in December, well before the beginning of the year.
Oh,
But it's
yeah.
going to be a good feeling even in February. So our our suggestion to you is schedule 90 minutes. Okay. You might want to take longer, but schedule 90 minutes, a 90-minute planning date.
Yep.
Okay.
We thought it would take an hour, but it takes a little
It
over.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do it. Our encouragement is see if you can make it happen the next 7 days.
Yep.
See if you can make this happen in the next 7 days. Why? Because it's easy to put off. Oh, we'll get to that, and you this might pop into your mind next December, and you still haven't done it. So our encouragement is do it in the next 7 days. Get
Mhm.
90-minute planning date on the calendar,
Yep.
right? And what are
Yeah.
some things they might want to
Yeah.
bring to that?
Well, you wanna get a calendar or do what Alan said. You can print off each month, January, February, like we used to do, but instead we have this big calendar. It's so much easier for us. And then definitely bring a notebook and open heart. And leave your phones well, it's hard if they go
Put
somewhere
them
like
on
a coffee
airplane
shop.
mode. Put
Yeah,
them on
put on
airplane
airplane
mode.
mode, but,
Yeah.
don't have your phone. It's gonna distract you, so no distractions. And that's why it's good to, if you have kids at home and they're loud, go to a different room or go somewhere. And
Mhm.
then pray first. I think it's so important to pray before you do this. And then start with a vision, not logistics.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And one thing I want
I
to
don't know if
add
you wanna
is
add.
I know Nicole said bring a calendar, and you can. I know we're talking about the vision,
Mhm.
communication piece, and like the challenges potentially, and all these things we've covered in this episode, and then bringing out a calendar lastly and putting it in.
Yes.
We're
Thank
not
you.
suggesting getting to the calendar in this 90-minute date. So bring a calendar
No.
or not, but just to be clear, I don't want anyone thinking all this should be accomplished in 90 minutes. No, we've
Yeah.
never
The
ever
the
have
first
we.
time the first time was really messy for us. Talking about the vision was fun and stuff, but it's like, "Oh, okay." Well, I don't know if I agree with that. And,
Yeah.
just
It's
talking out
so
loud.
good. It's so good. It's
It's
so
really
great.
good. But then we got smoother, as the years went by. We're like, "Okay,
Yes.
now we know we're going into this, yeah,
Yes.
a little bit better."
And that's fun too, is just seeing the
Yeah.
growth year over year.
Yeah.
But all that to say is in this 90-minute planning date, just focus on vision. Just focus on vision. Basically, everything we've covered in this episode up to and excluding getting the calendar and putting things on the calendar. Okay. Because that could take as long as all the other part or longer. All right.
Mhm.
So just to be clear on that. And if you check the show notes below, if you'd like for this 90-minute planning date, we have included a free resource that we created. It's our yearly marriage worksheet guide. So I think that can be helpful. It's a recap of a lot of many of the things that we've discussed in this episode, and some questions to ask and things of that sort. So as we wrap up today, we want to leave you with this encouragement. A strong marriage doesn't happen by accident. It's built with intention. You don't need a perfect plan. That's been said before. And you definitely don't need to have everything figured out. What your marriage needs most is intentional connection.
Yep. And planning your year together doesn't guarantee an easy year, but
Mm-mm.
it does create a united one. It does. And so if this episode was helpful, we'd love for you to share it with another couple who could use this encouragement.
Yes, and feel free to check out some of our resources on our website, Allan, spelled Allan, little odd spelling there, but Allan and Nicole.com. And if you'd be willing to leave us a 5-star review for us on our favorite podcast app, or possibly share it on your social media, that would really mean the world to us. Our social media links are in the show notes below.
Thank you for being part of the Impact Marriage community. Remember, marriage does not thrive by accident. It thrives when two people choose to seek the Lord, grow, plan, and walk forward together.
That's right. We'll see you next Thursday, 2 days before Valentine's Day,
Ooh, let's go.
when we will be
Woohoo.
discussing intimacy, the importance of
Ooh.
having a red hot marriage.
Oh, exciting. Bye, everyone.